Well, joining me now is Eric Mandel, director of the Middle East Political Information Network. Dr. Mandel, thanks for being here.
Hi, Derek.
Let's talk about the U.S.-backed Syrian Defense Forces, or SDF. They're putting this final push, the final fight against ISIS in their last stronghold, and now they're being threatened by Syria, the Syrian government?
They're not being just threatened by the Syrian government, they're being threatened by Turkey, which considers the Syrian Kurds to be like their PKK, a terrorist group. And what Turkey really wants is to create a 600-mile wide border that they have in northern Cyprus, 20 miles deep, and to be able to go after the Syrian Kurds there. But the Kurds have been a reliable ally for us. It is incredibly important for America not to abandon its allies. We look around the world, other allies around the world, look and see, will America stand with its allies? Are we a reliable partner? So being with the Kurds is for our national security interests, but it also is a message for around the world.
You know, the troop levels from the U.S. have been an issue continuing. I mean, ever since the president announced that he wanted to withdraw U.S. troops out of the region. And then there's been a report that it's been debunked that 1,000 troops would stay from the U.S. What do you make of these differing troop levels?
Well, I was very critical back when the president said he was going to withdraw because, again, it really undermined our interests, then went back with some numbers. The numbers are incredibly small in relation to the leverage we get from them. One of the most important places we are is a place called Al-Tanf, which stops the Iranian corridor from Iran to Iraq to Syria, all the way to the Mediterranean to Latakia Point, which Syria has given control over to Iran, and Iran wants to build a naval port on the Mediterranean. So by having those American troops there watching and having allies like the Syrian Democratic Forces, we are able to stop the Iranian corridor, and this is incredibly important for our interests in the long term.
But, I mean, should the U.S. completely withdraw, leave some troops there, leave 1,000, 200, or what?
Well, I'm not a military expert of the exact numbers, but the numbers are incredibly small. When President Trump mentioned this, we had all of 2,000 troops. Then there's going to be a few hundred troops. Then he asked for the Europeans to join. Whatever it takes, these are not boots on the ground that are facing forces where they're acting as observers, they're acting as support. They're incredibly important to stabilize Syria. Syria is a war within wars within wars. And when we look at what's going on, we have the Russians and their interests, we have the Syrians, we have the Iranians, Lebanese, the Iraqis. What's going on now between Iran, Iraq, and Syria is incredibly dangerous to us with their popular mobilization units and threatening our most important ally, which is Israel to the south.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on his way to the region, to the Middle East. He's going to really focus on Iran and try to control its nuclear ambitions. Do you think Pompeo needs the support that he's looking for in order to complete his mission? Well,
I was just in the Gulf, and in the Gulf, they realized that their two major fears are Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. But in this context, Iran. So they will get support from the Saudis, the Egyptians, from Abu Dhabi, the UAE. It's going to be a tougher sell because the Europeans are still married to this failed Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And the president has also given some waivers to some countries getting in fossil fuels from Iran, and that has to close up. But the biggest one and the biggest confrontation right now is that Iran is trying to turn Iraq into a puppet. Big part of that is to evade American sanctions and to move things outside of American dollars. And so these interplaying parts. This is five-dimensional chess of what's happening in this part of the world.
And Pompeo has his work cut out for him, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Eric Mandel, director of the Middle East Political Information Network, thanks for being here.
Pleasure, as always.